APGA chairperson has threatened to suspend the governor of Anambra State. Others, after, of course, according to them, the party has accused them of anti-party activity. Now, APGA has been facing leadership crisis, which has split the party into two factions. Now, Mr. Njoku leads one faction, while the other, which Governor Soludo backs, is led by Sly Ezeokenwa. Now, the national chairperson of the Progressives Grand Alliance, Edozie Njoku, on Wednesday threatened to suspend Governor Charles Soludo of Anambra State over alleged anti-party activities. Now, joining me on the program to discuss this at this time is Dr. Alex Obiogbolu, is the special advisor to Governor Charles Soludo on political matters. I also have Sly Ezeokenwa, is the national chairperson of APGA, and he also joins virtually. Gentlemen, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dapo. Good evening.
Good evening. Now,
thank you, Dapo.
All right, great. Now, let me start with you, Mr. Ezeokenwa. Now, we understand that the governor of Anambra State might be suspended from the party over strong allegations of anti-party activities. Would you like to speak on that?
Well, my reply or my response is very simple. Before you can proceed to do any lawful act, you must have the legal capacity to do such. So if you're talking about the suspension, for example, if you say you want to impeach the governor of a state, and then you must be a member of the House of Assembly, you understand? So before you can actually carry out that act based on the provisions of the Constitution, Edozie Njoku, for all we know and for all we care, is not the national chairman of APGA. He does not speak for APGA, neither does he have the powers to talk about APGA. And to further explain the level of his ignorance, he doesn't even know the provisions of the Constitution of APGA to know the modalities that the party can follow in disciplining either the national chairman or the national leader of the party. Of course, it is not in doubt, Professor Charles Soludo is not just the governor of Anambra State, he's a national leader of APGA. And the Constitution gives him a very prominent and preeminent position in the party, in terms of being one person that the party must consult before any major decision affecting the party must be taken. As what the Constitution says, he is the image, the integrity of the party. And before you can talk about suspending him, it must be done by the National Convention, if at all there is such a thing. And so that tells you the level of ignorance of the man who claims to be at the helm of affairs of APGA. And like we stated earlier on several times without number, Edozie Njoku is neither a member of APGA, because we have to make this point. For you to be an officer of the party, you must first of all be a member of the party.
So who exactly is Mr. Edozie Njoku, according to you?
Now, if we want to talk about Edozie Njoku, it will take us memory lane. Unfortunately, we are at this crossroad because INEC purported to accord recognition to him as national chairman of APGA, pursuant to what they call the court order. And it is on record that for the umpteenth time, we've been asking INEC to punish Nigerians or provide the leadership of APGA, because he was not in doubt. I was elected the national chairman of APGA at the duly convened National Convention of APGA, which was conducted on the 31st day of May 2023. It was at that day that myself, alongside 30 other members of the National Working Committee of APGA, were elected for a fixed term of 4 years in line with the Constitution of APGA. And so the question we threw to INEC, because they said they based their decision on a court order, whether it is imaginary, whether it is phantom, whether it's non-existent, because we stated and we have consistently maintained that there was absolutely no order of any court anywhere that compelled INEC so to do. And so these issues are issues we are trying as much as possible to sort out in court. But apart from the legal status of Edozie Njoku, there is equally the moral ground for him to lead a political party in which he's not a member. So when we are talking about the legal status of Edozie Njoku, which we are trying as much as possible to sort out, because we've shown carefully that INEC erred grievously in taking the decision it took on the 8th day of July 2024. And we are on it. Incidentally, today at the Federal High Court, in a suit I filed, the court graciously heard the matter today and adjourned to November 20 for the judgment. You know, even in court today, the question kept coming. Explain the judgment you were obeying. INEC said they were obeying the Supreme Court judgment, or the Supreme Court corrected judgment of 24th of March 2023. Incidentally, the same corrected judgment, Supreme Court has clarified its position through a letter it wrote to Edozie Njoku's counsel when they sought to commence contempt proceedings against the chairman of INEC. They wrote to the Chief Registrar of the Supreme Court, or to the Chief Justice of Nigeria then, Honorable Justice Oluka, and they asked, my lord, that based on their so-and-so judgment, which was delivered on so-and-so day, that INEC has refused to comply with the orders contained in that judgment. And as such, they sought to commence contempt proceedings against the chairman of INEC.
So for now, according to you, you are saying that Mr. Edozie Njoku is not officially recognized by the party, according to you.
Absolutely. When you talk about recognition, the pedestal for you to become an officer of the party is that you must first of all be a member. Edozie Njoku is not a member of APGA, let alone talking about being national chairman.
Okay, let's leave it at that. Let's leave it at that. I will come back to you, Mr. Ezeokenwa. Let me go to Dr. Obiogbolu. Now, I would like your reaction to what exactly is going on, particularly the suspension, will I call it a proposal by the Edozie Njoku faction of the party?
Well, Dakwa, I just want to say, I mean, I'm most incompetent to speak when my national chairman is here with me. He is due to speak for the party, and he's spoken well. But all I can include here is to let you know that Mr. Governor has not in any way created or given an impression he intends or has done in any action that will undermine the interest of the party. Mr. Governor at all times believes, as national leader of the party, that he means well for the party, and he continues to mean well for the party. So I don't know where all these claims are coming from.
Okay, if you can hear me, it seems like we lost a connection with you, but if you can hear me, but there are also allegations that, okay, great. There are allegations that it seems a bit overbearing. It seems to impose his influence as the governor, you know, overriding maybe the decision of some party members who are aggrieved.
Where are the party members? I'm not aware of any party member who's complaining. I mean, the party leadership in Anambra State is not complaining. The national chairman, who is the leader of the national leadership of the party, is there. I haven't heard him complain about the governor in what he has said in the last 10 minutes. So who are those complaining? The Anambra are very happy with him. Everywhere he goes, women are jubilating. Women are laying out their wrappers on the ground, giving him a heroic welcome, which is a sign in Igbo land of the hero's welcome. Traditional rulers are praising him. I mean, everybody is happy in Anambra with what is happening, the level of development going on in the state and transformation going on in the state. So I don't know about these complaints you're talking about. I'm not aware of them. Okay,
let me leave you for a moment, Dr. Obiogbolu. Let me go back to Mr. Ezeokenwa. Now, let's talk about the APGA in the state, particularly the, will I call it, impression that the party isn't as united, you know, as it should be, and that it's factionalized. I would like you to speak on that. Are there factions within APGA at the moment?
To be sincere, Dabo, what we have in APGA are imaginary factions. I say imaginary because for you to have a real faction, you must have people on ground. I don't know if you understand. You must have people on ground who feel genuinely aggrieved or agitated about certain issues in the party.
I mean, even though you deny, I mean, Edozie Njoku should be one of those people.
Sorry, Dabo. I've challenged Edozie before. You see, in May 2023, APGA had its congresses and convention. And during that congresses and convention, officers of the party were elected because the Supreme Court has said in a number of cases, including even reading the provisions of the Electoral Act, that the only way officers of a party can be elected are through congresses and convention, duly monitored by INEC. APGA gave notices to INEC of those conventions and congresses, and those congresses and conventions were duly conducted. All right.
I'm sorry.
Now, I'm coming.
Okay, because we need to go on a break.
Now, I'm coming. Okay. Sorry, just a minute. Now, on one side, you have people I call political merchants who believe that the only way they can get at the governor of Anambra State is by making all manner of fictitious allegations because the governor has refused to let open the coffers of the state to satisfy the unyielding ego of certain individuals instead of using these monies for the accelerated development of Anambra State. And if you know Soludo, a professor of economics, a very prudent and accountable governor who has equally won the most financially transparent governor based on the vision of budget IT when they said that Anambra State.
All right, I'm sorry, but I really need to interrupt you. I really apologize. We need to go on a commercial break. That's right. But we'll pick up from your last point where you said that the governor, some aggrieved members might be angry because the governor refused to open the coffers of state. We'll pick up from there once we return from this break. Do stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. If you, of course, have just joined us, this is Politics HQ on News Central Television. And, of course, we are discussing at the moment the internal crisis within APGA in Anambra State. I have my guest, Dr. Alex Obiogbolu, is the special advisor to Governor Soludo on political matters, and also Mr. Sly Ezeokenwa is the National Chairman of APGA. That's the All Progressives Grand Alliance. Both men are joining me virtually. But for now, I have Dr. Obiogbolu. Now, Doctor, let's move away from the internal crisis within the party. Let's talk about a very developing issue right now in the state, and that has to do with local government autonomy, where the governor of the state has said that absolute autonomy for local government might be dangerous. As a matter of fact, he actually did sign a law where, of course, there seems to be some sort of arrangement in terms of financial autonomy between local government and the state, even though he claimed he's not trying to usurp the Supreme Court's ruling. Now, this has elicited reaction that maybe the governor might just be overstepping his boundaries judicially. I'd like your reaction, sir.
That the House of Assembly are the legislative arm, and their function is to make laws. And they have made a law, though it was an executive bill, which has been signed into law by Mr. Governor. Now, let me break down what the law is as pertaining this issue of autonomy. The local governments have autonomy. But when we talk about absolute autonomy, we're talking about in terms of financial. Now, when you talk about the financial autonomy, the governor or the state is not going to be the one managing their funds for them. No. We are coming from a past. And if you understand your past, then your future is clear for you. Anyone who was an adult in Nigeria between 1999 and 2003 will remember that there was a very popular slogan, zero allocation. And zero allocation centered around the excuses the elected local government council chairman at that time, who were elected on a 3-year tenure from 1999 to 2002. And during that tenure, the workers in the civil service, teachers who were supposed to be paid salaries, were all complaining, pensioners were complaining that their gratuities, their pensions were being owed. The salaries were being owed, that of the civil servants and the teachers. Because you have to understand what are the functions of the local government. They include provision of primary school education, primary, vocational, and adult education, provision of primary health care, where you have the health workers, the birth attendants. Now, also provision of security, which has become a national concern today, which wasn't there in 2002, 1999, 2000. I was fortunate
but
to be
but there are concerns that this is, in a way, the state trying to sort of take control of the finances. I would like you to speak on that. Is the state government in Anambra State, is it trying to still control the local government's funds?
It's important that your viewers remember the past. It's important for those who didn't know, the young millennials, that they know what our past was. Their grandmothers, their mothers were being owed salaries for months. And this was because the federal allocation will come direct to the purse of the chairman, the accounts, and subsequently, they will not charge salaries as first line charge. They'll end up telling you that their budget is undersized, but in actual expense, they overexpend their actuals. So what the lessons we've learned from the past is what Anambra State is bringing in today on board to say, let's have a law where those common shared services, teacher salaries, health worker salaries, security men salaries, the PG's allowances, the traditional rulers' allowances, that all these things be put in a bucket and shared, so that nobody complains that they are being owed salaries or they're being owed this and that. Now, secondly, there are issues also you need to consider. There's a common civil service within the local government service called Local Government Service Commission. Their role is to employ workers for the local governments. So you may have in local government A, 200 staff. In local government B, 300 staff. These 500 staff are both under one common civil service. So if you allow them independent of each other, there are going to be issues where one chairman may wake up one day and say, I have too much staff. Let me retrench. And it reduces from 200 to 100. Who suffers it? The pupils in the primary school. I can tell you that we had shortage of teachers, and the governor, since he came in, recruited 3,615 teachers into the primary schools alone, out of the 8,115 that were recruited. Now you have what you have the security team, the AVG. You have 50-man strike force. You have security for the local governments and the communities.
Dr. Obiogbolu,
who are going to pay the salaries of these people. So what they just simply did was, let's have a common bucket where these services, you know the quantum, the amount of money, and then each of the local governments contribute a certain amount to that bucket. And who decides what amount to be contributed? It's not the governor that decides the amount to be contributed. It is the local government chairman that will decide the amount to be contributed. Who spends the money? Who spends the money? It is the same local government chairpersons, 2 members from their group of 21, and the accountant general of the local government.
Okay.
So there's no involvement of the state in this. There's no direct involvement.
All right. Let me leave you for a moment. Let me go back to Mr. Sly Ezeokenwa. I mean, it's great to have you back. We lost you. Yes, we lost you. Before we went on that break, you are trying to actually establish some underlying issues. But you said something that's sort of struck a chord. You said the aggrieved members, you sort of linked them to people who maybe wanted, permit me to use the word, access to the state coffers, but the governor would not oblige. I would like you to speak.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, I would like you to be specific as to maybe who these individuals are, and let us know more.
Like I can tell you, these guys, Njoku and Co. We've been receiving overtures from them. Oh, why don't you come together? Let us settle these issues. And we say, of course, we have no problem with settlement. We want one united family. But the basis for settlement, if you want to have or aspire for any office within All Progressive Grand Alliance, you must first of all go and register in your ward as a member and not come to aspire to become the national chairman when you are not even a member of the party. And like I said earlier, these issues will continue to be there. In 2009 precisely, we had this issue in APGA. When Chairperson Edozie, all of a sudden started challenging the chairmanship of then National Chairman of APGA, Chief Victor. Incidentally, his expulsion was affirmed by the Supreme Court. Then in 2013, we had Max Yoku then trying to challenge still the chairmanship of Victor. Of course, the court affirmed the chairmanship of Victor. Then in 2017, we had this issue again with one Martin Abasu. Then in 2021, it was now Jude Okeke / Edozie Njoku and all whatnot. So we are used to this. We are used to these antics. And you see that most of these issues come as during the rundown to the Anambra State governorship election. Because the moment the elections are conducted and Governor Soludo is elected for a second term in office, these guys will fizzle away. And they will reappear again when it is time for him to hand over to the next successor. And what's the motivation? The only motivation there is that they are looking to see a way through which, when they instigate this crisis, maybe the governor or the national leader of the party will call them and say, okay, what do you want? And they'll say, give us so and so amount of money. Incidentally, Governor Soludo is a man who will never back down or succumb to blackmail. He knows as a member of the party, because if you recall, Soludo joined APGA in 2012. And from that time till date, he has been a member of the party. He has attended all the national conventions of the party. And he knows who the national officers of the party were at every given point in time. So it's not a man you're going to come to say, oh, I am this, I am that. The question is, how did you emerge? In 2019, when all these things started, when Njoku claimed to have conducted a national convention in Owerri, the question was, who gave INEC notice of any convention in Owerri? Because clearly, the convention of APGA was stated to have been held in Oka, Anambra State. It was attended by the former governor of Anambra State, Dr. Chief Willie Obiano, who was then the national leader of the party. Governor Soludo, incidentally, was in attendance at that convention. All the members of the board of trustees of the party were in attendance at that convention. So who convened this phantom national convention in Owerri?
All right.
The question Njoku is not answering.
All right, just in 30 seconds, because we need to go. What would be your message?
I don't know. Sorry, Dapo. I don't know. I would like to say one or two things about, because Anambra State is the only state APGA is controlling.
Okay.
And what you said about the local government administration laws recently passed by the House of Assembly, because I've happened to offer some opinion on that issue.
Okay.
And there is that point that people have been making, that there is an attempt by the governor of Anambra State or the House of Assembly to go against the judgment of the Supreme Court. And I can tell you that there is no such thing based on the law. Incidentally, I am a lawyer. The judgment of the Supreme Court is clear. He said, in interpreting section 162, subsection 5, 6, and 7 of the Constitution, that the issue of joint local government account should step by the side, and then allocations to local government should go direct to local governments.
All right.
And that judgment has been complied with by the federal government. Now local government get their monies direct. Incidentally, section 7, subsection 5 of the Constitution gives local government functions as prescribed under the fourth schedule to the
I'm sorry,
Constitution.
but we really need to
and if
go.
you look at paragraph 2,
I'm
of
sorry?
that fourth schedule.
I'm sorry, we really need to go. Ms. Sly Ezeokenwa, thank you so much. Hopefully, we'll get to have you again on the program to discuss extensively on this. We hope you would also oblige us your time again. Thank you, gentlemen, for being a part of today's show. Dr. Alex Obiogbolu is the special advisor to Governor Charles Soludo on political matters, and also Mr. Sly Ezeokenwa is the National Chairman of APGA. Both men joined me on the program, or joining me virtually. Once again, thank you for your time. Hopefully, we get to have you again. Thank you.